Miss Kitty's tucked away in the hay. It's a cool morning. We had a fair bit of rain, which is wonderful, and everyone's just waking up. Well, we got rain last night. It's still pretty overcast. I don't know if we're going to get any more rain today, but it's another cold morning. At least the ground is wet. Let's hope we get some grass through. Good morning, Billy boy. Good morning. Had to move my camera out of range of one naughty brumby, and now I'll get their hay. If you notice at this point, Bill is in a high state of alert. He's anticipating me bringing out the hay. He's also a little bit anxious. His head's held high because he was starved in the past, so he still retains that memory very strongly, and it's always at the forefront of his mind, even though he gets fed very well every day and has access to hay all day long. The traumas of the past for him are very deep, and so when you're owning a horse, or you've got in a new horse that you haven't spent time with and you're still learning about them, it really does pay to spend time watching them and learn to read their emotions, learn to read their eyes and see what they're really saying to you. It's important to recognise when your horse is in a state of anxiety. All too often we turn inward when we're doing things around our horses. You know, there's a million and one things go in our mind, you know, the day ahead, plans, aims, goals, whatever it is that's going on in our mind. We're quite often easily distracted, so we miss the signals that our horses are displaying around us. For example, when you're looking at Bill, he's anxious. He's anxious about Bella coming. He's anxious about the food coming. He's generally in an anxious state of mind. And I noted it, and I've noted it for a long time, but I don't react to that anxiousness because I don't want to heighten that. I want him just to relax and go, okay, Mum, I know everything's coming. I know it's the same routine each day. And so I want him to lower his energy and not to raise it. So part of Bill's anxiety was he was anticipating that at some point Bella was going to come around and disturb his resource control over the hay. And as you can see, she does exactly that. So yes, he had good reason to feel a little bit on the anxious side. But if you noticed, because I stayed nice and calm and relaxed, there wasn't aggression. It was just simply move over and share with me by Bella. Whether we realise it or not, a lot of our thoughts and emotions and feelings are projected onto our horses, and it can alter the course of their day. It can alter the course of our day. And we all know that the stubbing the toe effect, if you have constant little things go wrong, they add up. And as they start to add up, things start to blow up. And so you have to be careful around your horses not to add up every little thing that goes wrong and turn it into a blowout, because that blowout will affect the way your horses feel about things as well, because they sense perceive. Whether we realise that or not, horses are always sense perceiving what their owners are feeling. So if you're feeling agitated, your horses are going to feel agitated. If you're feeling calm, your horses are going to feel calm to a certain degree. And when I say calm, I mean an inward sort of calm. A lot of people can give the appearance of being stoic, but in reality, they're full of anxiety and butterflies and have a million thoughts going on in their head. So you can't always tell from the outside what's going on inside of somebody. But horses get that sense and that feeling. And I'll tell you something that I've noticed. Well, a lot of tricks that I see with horse trainers who are helping people with their horses is they stand there with the horse that they're meant to be helping. They're really trying to help the person most of the time. And they talk and they talk and they talk and they talk. And the longer they talk, the more they relax. And the more they relax, the more the horses relax, or the horse relaxes that they're meant to be handling, as does the owner who's got the troubled mind. And so that happens in just about every episode that I watch in most cases. And then usually it's the owner learning about how to control their horse, but not only just control their horse, but control their own emotions. And that's a really big factor when you're trying to overcome a problem that's been caused or created by your anxiety and has been acted out by your horse in the same way as children act out around their parents for various reasons. Horses also act out when their owners are feeling out of control, even if it's not displayed on the outside. The chickens have come in for shelter. Miss Kitty's laying in her usual spot in the hay at the moment. She's taken to laying there because a few nights ago, we don't know whether it was a dog or a big wild cat, came for her, and she made a mad dash over to Eli. And as you can see, the tarp's down at the back there. Whatever it was tried to get her and ran into the tarp, but obviously ended up having a confrontation with Eli while Miss Kitty escaped and went round into the hay. So whatever it was pretty full on, because it was such a loud ruckus. I had to come out and try and see what was going on in the night. And anyway, all ended up well. Eli saved the day. Miss Kitty's sleeping now nice and close to where she's got a bit of protection. The chickens also spend a fair bit of time near him. Unfortunately, he can't come out of his pen unless I'm supervising him, because he's a chicken eater. While he's happy for them to be around him and the cat, he is inclined to chase. And most of all, he's inclined to chase the horses, and he got kicked in the head a while back, and I nearly lost him, and so I'm not prepared to take that risk, and so he just has to stay put. He's elderly now anyway. He's coming up for 10 years of age, and in terms of German Shepherd lifespan, he's coming towards the end of his life, and so I try to be really careful with and limit him as to what he can do. And he's got plenty of company. On the other side of him, he's got Rambo and Robin. He can see everything that's going on, and he doesn't get around much these days anyway. So I wanted to talk about when horses start developing out of the blue, as some people say, and I do that in abbreviated brackets. Horses starting to misbehave and get out of sorts, try and throw their riders off, become very reactive. And for a lot of people, it's comes out of the blue for them. But does it really? That's the question I'm asking you. Does it really come out of the blue, or were there signs and symptoms that we didn't recognise prior to the behaviour the horse is displaying? And that's just something that I've been observing, watching other people's horses, watching my own horses. And when a behaviour starts, am I inadvertently encouraging an unwanted behaviour by my own anxiety, fears, whatever, or am I disengaging that behaviour I don't want straight away? And I'll give you a classic example. The other day when I was training Bill, I didn't have the girth up tight enough, obviously, so that was my fault. I didn't recognise the fact that even after a few goes at doing that girth up, he was still bloating his belly out to stop me from tightening it up. One of his issues is he doesn't like the girth. And so I then started to do some ground training, and of course he started to play up when that saddle started to slip, and he had a few broncs. And now I could have done two things. I could have been a helicopter parent, ran over, I did go over, and ripped that saddle off him. But what would I have taught him? That when he's anxious and to panic, to buck and bronc, and to stay in that anxiety state. Now, as a helicopter parent, I might have been tempted to rush over and save him, but he didn't need saving, because in reality, all it was a slightly slipped saddle. And so he needed to learn that that's no big deal. These things happen, and the saddle is not eating you. It's not doing anything terrible other than the fact that it's a bit awkward, and that give me a little bit of time and I will resolve the issue. So I'm not promoting myself in any way or form, but one of the things I've learned over the years is that what I'm projecting to the horse picks up, whether it's good energy, negative energy, happy energy, sad energy. Horses pick up your energy. So the best way for me to handle that, which is what I did at the time, was to casually stroll over without any sort of emotional energy projected at him, and to just adjust the saddle and to go back to doing what we needed to do. So I needed to show Bill that there was nothing for him to worry about, that it was no big deal, and to continue on. If I had been overly anxious and been a helicopter type mum, I would have rushed over and done the opposite. And what would he have learned from that? To be anxious. And so horses recall, negative, just like humans do. So I could guarantee you the next time I put the saddle on, had I been a helicopter type owner, he would have started to develop bad patterns. And so that's where we have to be super careful in our training of our horses. Now, if we do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You can undo it, but it takes more time. So it's easier to handle your own emotions in the first place than to continue on with the same patterns of behavior that lead to your horse becoming more anxious and more out of control, because as we know, horses who are anxious and out of control can be dangerous horses.